Okay, we are live. How nice it is to be live with y'all, but we got to let it breathe just for a moment here. We got to bring on everybody on Facebook. They would be quite upset with us if we didn't include them in this conversation. Y'all know this. Welcome in. It is the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me is my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him. He is Zack Kelberman. Zack, out of the gates, the Denver Broncos. After starting him on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform, KJ Hamler was activated. He practiced today. We'll get some insight from Luke Patterson a little bit later in the show, who was there. But what was your reaction to that development, and then also how he performed today in training camp?
I was sitting here racking my brain, trying to find a player that I can root harder for than KJ Hamler, and I couldn't do it. You know what he's been through the last year, not just the injuries, not just the torn up knee, not just the dislocated hip, but losing his grandmother during the season, during all of that was the almost fatal blow. And I don't say that jokingly because KJ Hamler got up there today at his press conference, very vulnerable, and said he didn't want to be on this earth anymore. He was having extremely dark and cloudy thoughts. Fortunately, he worked through it, and fortunately, he's back now. So I could not be happier for KJ Hamler, and I can't wait to watch him blossom this year physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, in every single way. He looked pretty good, though, on the field in his first practice back. He had that knee brace, but he was catching passes from Russell Wilson. He was cutting on that knee, cutting on that hip, which was important. And like we talked about on our radio show earlier today, Chad, on 98.1 FM, no one can do in the Broncos receiving core what KJ Hamler can, is breaking a game wide open with his speed, his quicks, and just his overall talents. So the fact that he's out there, I'm happy for him, but I'm happy as well for the Broncos offense.
Yeah, he caught, according to Luke, everything that came his way. And although he wasn't going quite 100%, he was wearing a knee brace and looking pretty dang good along the way. We're going to get, of course, more insight on that here in just a moment. But, guys, before we get too much farther in tonight's show, check this out. All right. How about a giveaway? A signed Javonte Williams helmet. We welcome Pristine Auction as a sponsor of this podcast. PristineAuction.com. What is it, you ask? It is the most trusted sports memorabilia auction site with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Auctions on PristineAuction.com start at just $1, and each day there are over 1,000 autographed items available, so you win signed, authentic signatures at affordable prices, y'all. Just last week, I know it's not our team, but an autographed Justin Herbert jersey sold for $110. And deals like this are happening all the time on PristineAuction.com. They have just about every Broncos player you could want, including, of course, Russell Wilson, Patrick Surtain, Javonte Williams, and so much more.
Yeah, guys, every item on pristineauction.com comes with a certificate of authenticity from the industry's most reputable authenticators. Upgrade your collection of signed memorabilia today and get 10% off your first item one when you use the code HUDDLE when you sign up. Again, pristineauction.com, use the code HUDDLE and get $10 off your first item one.
By the way, that's not all. In addition to $10 off your first item, we are giving away a signed Javonte Williams helmet to one lucky listener who signs up using the code HUDDLE. Here is your chance to win, you guys. All you have to do is sign up on the website using our registration code HUDDLE to be entered. The links are in the description, all right? But it's easy to find them. PristineAuction.com/register. Link is in the description. Check it out if you want to get in line for a signed Javonte Williams helmet. And again, you don't even have to buy anything or even go in on an auction. You just register and you are in for that drawing. We'll announce it here very, very soon who wins. But after this show, hit the link in the description and go sign up. All right, Zack, KJ Hamler, you talked about the fact that he there's so much that he can do. Wow, we've got the Duchess throwing down at the very top.
Michaela Baum.
You're so awesome, Michaela. Thank you so much. A great way to help us continue starting our week off on the right foot, just like you did last night and today. Very meaningful to us. You know this. Love you so much. She says, all love and Bronco mojo to you all, Zack.
Love it. Thank you so much, Michaela. We say it every single podcast, and it probably comes off a little contrite by this point, but we are so appreciative for all that you do, and you are the lifeblood of this show. That's point blank. Period. Thank you so much, Michaela.
My name's Rufus. That's the Trufus. Seriously. Thank you, Michaela. And thank you for getting in early, by the way, with that very generous super chat. And also, we got this cat. Been a minute, dude. Tyler, what's going on, dude? Where have you been? We've missed you. He says, long time no see. Things are starting to turn around, and I finally have a job where I can catch more live shows. Dope. Have a great one, fellas. Hashtag MHH for life. Been with us a long time, have you, Tyler? So it's really cool to hear from you. Glad to hear that things are turning around. We hope that also means things are well. So good to see you, bro. Thank you for the support.
And looking forward to seeing you in more live shows in the future. Appreciate you.
No doubt about it. Diamond Rattler jumping in with the first comment in the chat at 4:48
Let me
local
guess.
time.
Boom, let's ride.
Boom, let's ride, baby.
Yeah.
We got Paul Moore, a Jawa night, not to be confused with a Jedi night. This is the Jawa night, okay? Dylan handling things for us on YouTube. Dale, what's good, big dog? Really great to see everybody on YouTube. And then, of course, all of our phenomenal Facebook folk like Albert, Andrew, Darko's in the house. Yes, I'm looking forward to this, getting to meet you in the flesh, my friend, for the meet and greet week 3. Broncos, dude, Sunday night football. That's going to be so freaking sick against the Niners. Darko comes from Mexico. All right. So going to be great to see Broncos country, not a geographic location, baby. It is a state of being. So looking forward to that, Darko. And Andrew Lampy in the house. What's good, bro? Hi, right back to you, my dog.
I'm looking forward to watching that third Broncos win of the season with all y'all. Trust me on that.
It's going to be a gas. But Zach, KJ is back in the saddle. Good to hear. They're working him in. 75% speed about today. Wearing the brace. Does this arrest the modest momentum that Montreal Washington was beginning to establish?
I don't think so, because they knew when they drafted Montreal that KJ was going to be back for week 1. He was always an integral part of the passing offense. Montreal is just another speedy guy to have on top of being the primary return man. Anything he could do on offense is a bonus, but he's the primary return guy. But you can't have too many players with that level of speed. And it's good that if they want to work him in slowly, or, God forbid he suffers a setback of some sort, you have another guy that can step up and be that home run hitter. And that would be Montreal Washington.
Good to see so many great names in the chat. Andrew says, so I ordered $200 worth of Manscaped stuff. Who do I yell at if I scar my man parts?
Not us.
Not us. No, just kidding. We have full trust and faith and belief in your abilities to competently manage your manscaping. But thank you so much, my dog. That's one of the things that our advertising partners, when we do choose an advertiser to come onto the show, that they have always been impressed by. And that is that our community understands, pardon me, that when they support the people that are the companies that advertise on our show, that it's supporting us. And I know Manscaped, there's a reason why y'all keep seeing them on our show. It's because you guys are heeding the call to action. And the perfect storm, Zach, we try to make sure this lines up every time. It's not a perfect science. More often than not, it is for us, though. But the perfect storm is when you get an advertiser with a great product, item, whatever it might be, that combined with the fact of them supporting the show. Manscaped, when we say we use it, they're not even sponsoring tonight's show, but when we say we use Manscaped every day, like, right, for the 2 cats you see on the screen right now, believe it or not, every single day it's used by me. It's used by my sons. So glad to hear that you supported that code, and enjoy your stuff, buddy.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to get a couple care packages, so I can't say I've spent $200 on Manscaped, but I would if I knew how effective they were, and we found that out firsthand because, like you said, Chad, we use the product. So, Andrew, we appreciate your patronage. We're screenshotting that right now to show Manscaped in the future, and let us know what your favorite product is. I'm fond of the weed whacker and the lawnmower, but let us know what you like to use for your Manscaping needs.
For what it's worth, I haven't had to re-up on the actual electronic stuff, like the 2 main shavers, for your nose and the nether region, whatever. But I spend about $20 every 2 weeks because A, I like it, but B, my sons dig the body wash and shampoo, conditioner in one. So that is something that is on the reg. A lot of the other stuff, like Zach said, is vestiges of the care packages that get sent out every time they re-up. So they're very kind to your football priest. But I have spent significant dollar bills, just like you guys, on Manscaped. Phil, what's good, bro? Great to see you. Appreciate the stars, as always, my friend. Hope you're doing well, big dog. Really, really great to see you. Albert says he just registered for the Pristine Auction. Good. Get in line for that Javonte helmet. Jason Bolin, what's going on, bro? He says, I can't wait to catch the full pod later. Dropping in to say thanks. Day one of camp was awesome. Got to see Luke, and both my boys got Russ autograph. Very
Nice.
cool. What a class act. 3 more days to go. Go Broncos. I don't know what that means, though, the 3 more days, but rad to hear. Yeah, dude, I know that is gratifying for Luke to be able to meet as many people from our community as possible at those camp practices. So glad that you were able to connect, buddy.
I'm pretty sure Jason's there for 3 more days. That's what he's saying there. So have fun
cool.
the rest of the week, Jason. We appreciate you sharing with us. And real quick, anyone for the auction that clicked on the link, as Jetty Splash says here, you got to click on Show More and select our podcast. I think it's labeled as the Huddle Up podcast, but y'all know what it is. So
yeah.
Click that first one. That's how you register.
Thank you very much. Another OG in the house, Smouse
Zito.
in the house. Zachary, what's going on, brother? Great to see you. We've missed you as well. He says, I've been busy as heck. Yeah, but in a good way. These things I know based on what Zach has told me privately. So good developments. Zach is a legendary MHH Mount Rushmore Super Chat superstar, and it's great to see you, buddy. Michaela also just registered. Woohoo. That's right. Let's flood it. The link is in the description. Get in line. You don't even have to actually, what do we call it, bid or whatever. Just go register for the auction, and you can get in line for that Javonte signed helmet. Dope. All right, Zach, a couple other things. We'll pick, of course, Luke's brain on this when he joins us here in just a few more minutes. But Garrett Bowles, kind of a slop fest today, not very focused, false start, just mental lapses. We talked about it on the Mile High Huddle show on the radio, of course, today. But for those who weren't with us then, how big of a concern is that, considering this team just came off a break? Like, they got a day off, and then that's supposed to kind of like recharge you. You come back more focused. I mean, that's the idea, partly anyway. How big of a concern is it that Bowles comes back from that and it's, well,
Remember VJ's first year? The Broncos were coming off a bye, taking on the winless Giants in prime time, and they got their asses kicked. That was a fun time. I'm not drawing correlation there. I'm actually saying the opposite. This doesn't matter. And I'll repeat the same thing I said on the radio. I'm happy it happened. I'm happy they went through that adversity. I'm happy they are correcting the flaws and the errors and the miscues now and not September, October, November. Get it out of the way. This is what practice is for. This is what training camp is for. And I love how Russell Wilson responded to that adversity. Unlike a Drew Lock or a Teddy Bridgewater or a Joe Flacco, he rallied the troops, he huddled them together, and they had a very sharp closing half of the practice. And they threw a couple touchdown passes, and they ended on a higher note than they started. That's the sign of a real leader. That's a sign of a galvanized unit, and that's the sign of an offense still growing that'll be better for these hiccups.
By the way, for what it's worth, real quick, or else I'm going to forget this, Zach, I just did the follow the link thing. And when it clicks down on how you heard about us on Pristine Auction, this is for those of you that are going to register and get in line for that signed Javonte helmet. It is under Mile High Huddle Podcast. So you just got to scroll down, alphabetical to M. We're right there. Boom. That way they know that you were sent by us. Okay. Here's Riley Malloy jumping in. Good to see you, buddy. How have you been? Man, he says, did you see the Hamler interview? He got kind of vulnerable speaking about losing his grandma. Really touched my heart. Let's go Denver. Broncos for life. Yeah, dude, we remarked on that at the very, very, very tippity top of the show, but it was a poignant moment, Zach. And as someone who has lost to, I'm like a matriarch guy. I'm like what you might call a mama's boy is maybe the more common parlance. And I lost my mother a few years back. I also lost my grandma, who I spent about half my life in her house growing up as a kid. And I'll tell you what, I understand exactly what Hamler says. It's hard to wrap your brain around that because it's so final and everything, but heart goes out to him. Sounds like he's persevering though. And that's what his grandmother would want for him.
Yeah, he wasn't kind of vulnerable, and thank you, Riley, for your contribution. He was extremely vulnerable, and I commend KJ so much for that. I have so much more respect for him, and I'm rooting for him completely. His grandma was the central figure in his life. He called her the love of his life, and that's just pure, unadulterated love that you have for another family member. I've lost family members as well. Lost my father, lost my grandmother. It never gets any easier, but you have to have a good support system around you, and you have to work through it and focus on your craft and focus on your job and find your purpose. And KJ Hamler found that purpose and he's back sooner than expected. I'm rooting for him completely and entirely.
Andrew Baker, what's up, Priest and fam? Throwing down some stars. He says grilling burgers and bacon wrapped asparagus. I just felt my stomach. While the boys are in the pool, life is good. MHH for life. Very cool, buddy. Enjoy that. The vestiges of the summer. We still got a good solid month left. Mark Schrader, what's going on, bro? Down in Texas. Great to see you, buddy. Appreciate
Dad,
you as always.
How do you take your burger?
I'm
Or
kind of
steak?
weird because I don't eat it with a bun, and it's not because I'm like gluten intolerant or have anything against carbs. If I eat a burger, which is rare, I'm not a burger guy. My son, all of my sons are burger guys. I'm not. But if I make them at home or I'm somewhere, whatever, I have them without the bun with onions and mustard and some sriracha. Sounds weird, right? That's me. I'm not a burger guy. What about you?
I'm not really a beef guy, more chicken guy. I kind of meant like how do you have your burger cooked? I'm like a medium or medium well. Same with steak, but yeah, I'm not too big on the beef.
Oh, dude, you should have seen it. Just this last weekend, went out to eat. My son, of course, I have one of my kids. All right, I have many kids. I'm older than I look. Okay, one of my 5 kids, one of my 4 sons. Anytime we go out to eat, Zach, it's a sure bet he's going to ask for the most expensive thing on the menu. Once in a blue moon, if he's been a good boy, I'll oblige him. And this is one of those cases. He wanted the steak and shrimp. It was just a little diner. It wasn't like some big thing. And so the gal comes, he orders, how would you like that cooked? And I spit out medium rare. And he goes, no, well done. And the shame in my face for this boy, it was palpable to the point where the waitress was just started laughing. And I said, what? And she goes, the look on your face. I don't know how anyone can eat a well done steak. All due respect, my dog.
As punishment, you should have made him eat it so he knows never to get it again.
Well, he did eat it. He ate the whole. He did eat the whole gum thing. That's faux show. That's faux show.
You like what you like.
That's right. That's right. David Bingaman in the house too. What's up, bro? Good to see you. It really upsets me, David, that our commenting system has kind of been, for lack of a better term, deprioritized on the site because I always loved all the conversations we'd have on milehighhuddle.com. But I know there is a fix in process. It just takes a long time to turn that ship. So anyway, at least we get to chat here in these on these live streams. But yeah, dude, good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you. Okay, we're a few minutes out from Luke. So Phil's registered. Dope. Albert wants a steak. Still mooing. I don't know. I can't follow you quite that far, but I feel you. Hyperbole. I know. Zach, what about Albert Okwuegbunam? We talked a lot about 2 tight ends kind of really bucking early. The Erics, right? Eric Sauber and Eric Tomlinson, the latter of whom has had 2 strong days in a row. Tomlinson, the former Ravens tight end. Meanwhile, Albert O, he's kind of treading water, getting left in the dust.
Yeah, it's caught me by surprise. I would say the secondary and Eric Saubert's ascension and Alberto's descension have been the most surprising takeaways through 5 days of training camp. But that's always been the thing with Alberto. The talent's always there, but the total package was never put together. And it seems like something changed from OTAs and minicamp when he was far and away the tight end one, even after they drafted Dulcich and re-signed Saubert. And now he's the forgotten man, the guy that's getting overshadowed by a relative no one in Saubert and even Eric Tomlinson and Andrew Beck and all these other guys on the depth chart making plays while Alberto is languishing away. Surprising.
Yes, glad to hear. Also, Michelle registered for the Pristine Auction. Very cool. I am not. It's too early for me to throw up the flag of panic on the Alberto front.
Agreed.
Especially because as we've talked about today, sometimes the shows they run together in my head. I can't remember if we talked about it in the afternoon or the evening, but Greg Dulcich isn't even into the equation quite yet. And then once he gets there, I think then you're going to start within a short matter of a few practices. You're going to start seeing things coalesce into their natural order, how it's going to be. I think the Broncos are going to use the heck out of Albert Okwuegbunam regardless of whether or not he ends up, being tight end one on the depth chart. He's going to get used a lot, especially in passing situations. And by the way, Charlie Dominguez, good to see you, bro. Thank you for the stars. Really appreciate you. But the frustrating component to it right this second, Zach, and then we're going to bring on Luke, is the fact that, he's only valuable to this offense, right? If he can also block. Otherwise, he's limited to third down. That's a bummer.
Yeah, and I still think, based on the way it's shaping up, the tight end unit is going to be a sum of all their parts. There might not be an established tight end one, and the rest of the offense is the same way. The receiving core, who's the wide receiver one? We really don't know, even though it looks like Cortland Sutton. The backfield, that's being split and micromanaged between Melvin and Javonte Williams. So it seems like Hackett wants to use all his horses and titles be damned. And that's why it might be Albert O opening up at Seattle as a starter in week 1, and week 2 might be Eric Saubert. It's going to be a position of matchups in that room.
Well said. Big Earn, what's going on? Before we grab Luke, I just want to give a shout out here to Clayton, who's saying smash the like button and share, guys. Appreciate that, Clayton. Guys, hear us. The last 2 nights of the Huddle Up pod, so Thursday night and Sunday night, we emphasized, please like the video. If you're with us even for 30 seconds, even if you don't agree with every word, if you respect the effort, like the video, if nothing else. And you guys have done that and in a big, bad way. We've been tripling the number of likes we had been getting on each video up to that point because we kind of got into a lull of the summer and all that stuff. So really appreciate those of you who just take the fraction of a second to like the video. Helps us out in a big, bad way. Without further ado, Luke Patterson joins us. Luke was there. He's been there every single day, and he'll continue to be there at UC Health Training Center. First and foremost, Luke, appreciate you coming on the show, big dog. And your articles, I'm sure I speak for a lot of people in the room right now. Looking forward to reading them each and every day to see what the key takeaways and observations are out of each practice. But for those who haven't read the article today, what jumped out at you day 5 Broncos camp?
Yeah, it was the first day of shoulder pads and helmets, right? We got teased just a little bit with Broncos back together on Saturday. And yeah, there was just some light popping going on. But today the shoulder pads came on, which means full pads come on tomorrow. So there were some nice little pops out there. Obviously, you want to try to keep your guys up. You want everybody off of the turf, and you don't want anybody to get hurt. That's the big theme of any practice, let alone training camp, right? One really cool moment for me today was with Javonte Williams. We know he's a bruiser. We know he's a bull. He's an angry runs fanatic all over the league, all over the network, all up in the videos like Suge Knight. But now he's actually starting to add some agility to his game, guys. I saw some inside cuts, a little bit of a shimmy move today. I don't know if he's looking lighter, maybe 5 pounds lighter. I'm not sure. He just looks a lot lighter and quicker on his feet, something that you love to see, especially with this outside zone running scheme that the offensive line is adjusting to. And the O-line, they had some troubles today. They really did. Russell Wilson had to stop practice at a certain point. Garrett Bowles had a false start. I could see a little bit of some growing pains with this offensive line and Butch Barry trying to figure each other out and get this new scheme going.
It would help if they had a better right tackle. Luke, I'm not going to waste your time talking about how good Cortland Sutton looked or how good PS2 looked. You know, those are obvious. Tell us about the struggles that Russell Wilson had. And when you mentioned them huddling and pausing practice temporarily to get back on the same page, what was that vibe like? And how was that different from recent training camps with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater?
Yeah, I think with Russ, Zach, it's all about timing. With this offense, it's all about timing. I talked to an expert analyst the other day who was trying to explain some of the ins and outs of just the offensive line. And if you are just a second off with 1 or 2 steps on this offensive line, I mean, for example, I will answer your Russ question, but let's talk a little O-line first. If Quinn Miners is so focused on getting to that second level, that first read on that defensive line, that's done. Your run gets shut. You could possibly get sacked. I mean, all kinds of bad things happen. Translate to that quarterback. I mean, everything starts up front. Pass rushers are told, let's lay off. Don't get anywhere near Russ. No, Nathaniel Hackett's not yelling like Josh McDaniels. But it's some timing issues. Russ is trying to figure some stuff out with his receivers, but the energy of Russell Wilson stopping practice isn't as dramatic as it sounds. He's not a yeller. He's not a screamer. He's not a rah-rah guy. And we can call him corny all you want, but when Russ actually took charge of that offense today, that was a good sign. Some people could say, who's in charge, Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett, or George Payton? Nathaniel Hackett talked about it at the presser today, guys. He loved the fact that Russell Wilson wanted to get into the guys a little bit, say, hey, yesterday was the off day. We were all off. It's time to get to work. It's Monday morning, second week of camp. You have to love that ownership from your franchise quarterback. It's not just about getting the fans hyped on the hill, fellas. It's not just about selling jerseys. It's not about highlight plays on Twitter. It's about being a leader and changing the culture. That's what Russell Wilson does.
Amen.
By the way, Luke, you're getting some shout outs in the chat for happy anniversary. You're my boy,
you.
Luke, from Andrew. You're getting some props. But Lawrence says, as much as we've been talking about Melvin Gordon, he's been a star at practice. He just different speed from what I've heard. Do you concur that he's been a star, and what do you see relative to his speed? Is it different, etc.?
He looks like a veteran back to me. He still looks very good like he did last year, but expect a lot more catching from Melvin Gordon. He's going to be utilized as a receiving threat for Russell Wilson. You're going to see Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams on the field at the same time. And no, it's not going to be that Phillip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon, let's be cute to just start the game because we don't have a starter. Don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I think Melvin Gordon is embracing his role, but a lot of that is being pushed by the competition, guys. Mike Boone is looking awesome. I'm telling you, do not sleep on Mike Boone. He's shifty, right? One of George Payton's guys from Minnesota. Demarie Crockett, another guy who's getting a lot of run. This running back room is just like the tight ends. I know you guys were talking about Alberto, Saubert, Tomlinson, all those guys. Tons of competition on the back end. So I think Melvin Gordon, he's definitely going to make the team, yes, but he's got Demarie Crockett and Mike Boone right down his neck wanting more reps.
The Duchess says Luke is the wind behind her wings.
Oh,
I'm about to break out in song right now. I'm like truly inspired. The Duchess, we love you. Everyone loves you. You know this. Also, real quick here, we got to shout out GLP before the chat jumps it, and I can't find it. He says, good afternoon to everybody. Full pads. Yay, go Broncos. Let's ride. Indubitably. Have you seen, and Phil throwing down, sending love, Luke's great reporting. Appreciate that,
Thanks,
Phil. You've been very generous lately, big dog. And I mean, you always are, but especially lately. Luke, has Brett Rippon, based on everything you and I have discussed and the inside intel on what's happening at Broncos camp, I listed Rippon in the risers section of the 5 risers, 5 fallers over the weekend. Did you see him after the break continue? Is he parlaying that into day 5? How'd he look today?
Yeah, he had one of the best throws of the day, and I know everyone's talking about that Russell Wilson throw over PS2. No, don't be worried. That's, I think, the only one that PS2's gotten beaten on really this camp. But looking at the other throw outside of that, it was Brett Rippon on a nice little, I don't know if it was a hitch to Eric Tomlinson or what, but Eric Tomlinson, journeyman tight end, right, from Baltimore, is laying out there for excellent catch. Brett Rippon is getting tons of love from the fan base who's fallen in love with him because of his uncle, because of his work ethic, being a Boise State all-star, all those sorts of things. But guys, here's what it comes down to. His mechanics have changed. All right. Yes, Brett Rippon's mechanics have changed. And no, he does not have a strong arm. He knows this. What do you do with that Russell Wilson effect in the quarterback room? You absorb it. And that's what Brett Rippon has done. It's something I asked offensive coordinator Justin Outen about on Saturday. And he said he loves his quarterback room, of course. But Brett Rippon has been generating so much more force from his stance, from his hips, from his legs. It's all about the lower body for all of you young quarterbacks out there that want to be NFL stars. It does not start with the arm. It starts with the lower body, the brain, et cetera, et cetera. Brett Rippon changing his mechanics this far along in the game, it could pay dividends and make him quarterback too. Josh Johnson, I just don't see it right now. I don't want to be a hater or anything like that. I want to see how he competes because maybe he's a gamer. Maybe he's one of these cats in practice that just doesn't do a lot of things, but can come in and win you some games. He's veteran in his own right. But right now, Brett Rippon leading the way.
First of all, Luke, happy anniversary. If it's indeed your anniversary, I didn't know
Thanks,
that.
buddy,
So
it is.
Hope you're having a good night. Let's talk about something real quick. My question for you is a position no one's really focusing on. I understand why it's kind of boring or unsexy, but the interior defensive line. all the reporting came out today that said Mike Purcell had himself a day. He was actually getting after the quarterback, applying some pressure. Wuzurike's made some stops. McTelvin Najim had some reps the other day versus the ones. How are they looking to you?
Yeah, DJ Jones has looked very good, just as good as advertised. But I got to tell you, fellas, I saw Lloyd Cushenberry absolutely put that man on his back in pass protection on Saturday.
Nice.
I had to go back and ask 3 different people today if that's what I saw, because I didn't want to put anything out there on Twitter and get a bunch of hate and be wrong and be called an idiot, though sometimes I am. It's just one of those things for me where it's like, Cush, was that you, baby? Did I just see you throw down on DJ Jones? Yes, it happened. But look, Draymond Jones has been the star of the party. There's some articles out floating around right now hinting that defensive coordinator Ibero wants to use him in an Aaron Donald-esque role. No, he's not Aaron Donald. But let's move him inside. Let's move him outside. Let's be creative with our twists, our stunts. Remember, Bill Kolar still going to be doing some consulting for the Denver Broncos. So some things are changing. Some things are staying the same. Listen to Derek Wolfe and what he just said last week, praising Bill Kolar and that intensity from the defensive line. It's something that Broncos country has got to see. You mentioned Mike Purcell. For me, he's on the bubble right now, just like McTelvin Najim. Do you want to make plays? Do you want to make this team? Let's move aside from the fact that you're from Colorado, Mike Purcell, because we need you out there on this field. If you are not available, you're either a liability or an asset, and the Broncos need help. They need help in the defensive line. Shelby Harris, I get it. You love him or hate him. The Broncos lost a little something when he left. DJ Jones, I'm excited. But again, he's a run stuffer. He's not that pass rusher that you really, really need to get off of quarterbacks. Draymond Jones, can he do that consistently this year? All things are leading up for Draymond and the big guys. So I'm excited to see it, man. He's nasty. He's scrappy, and he loves to fight.
Okay, Luke, last one. We're going to cut you loose so that you can give your lovely wife some attention on your anniversary, okay? All work, no play for Luke so far today, but that's fixing to change, dadgummit. Lawrence wants to know who appears to be the weakest link on the O-line. I know they're still rotating and nothing's set in stone yet, but what are you seeing there?
I'll cop out real quick and be like, Graham Glasgow, who? I know you're talking about the starters, but in all seriousness, Graham Glasgow is really taking a step back. He's running with the 2s and the 3s right now. Maybe he makes the team, maybe he doesn't, but Natani Moody has definitely surpassed Graham Glasgow. I do have Quinn Miners in the starting lineup right now. He has had some tough days, but he's also bounced back and had some really good days as well. I like the fact that him and Dalton Reisner both came in lighter. But when we're talking about who is the weakest on the offensive line, man, that's tough. That's tomorrow. I think we're going to start to figure out who that is, because we found out from the coaches, both Hackett and Outten, they don't like one-on-ones. They don't like 7-on-7s. Say what you will. I think it's a breath of fresh air. It's something different. So it's hard for me to not want to be down there in the pit looking at the big dogs scrapping and fighting and hearing all the colorful language that goes on around there. But tomorrow, the pads are on. They want to keep guys up. I don't anticipate Bradley Chubb and Garrett Bowles going after each other, but you're really going to see some situations get a lot more intense. Lloyd Cushenberry, you have got to improve. If you're pancaking one of the Broncos' best defensive linemen, that shows immediate improvement.
Follow him on Twitter at Luke Patterson LP. Of course, he'll be on with his own show Wednesday night, Mile High Insiders. I don't know if there's a plan to join Building the Broncos tomorrow night, but if there isn't, we should definitely make that happen if you can swing it in your schedule. But GLP,
yeah,
giving you some props. Happy Annie, and thanking you for the news report. But Luke Patterson, thanks for joining us, brother, and we look forward to talking to you on the next round. Make sure you're following him on Twitter. But Luke, go enjoy your anniversary, bro, and give our best to the missus.
Will do. Appreciate you, fellas. Let's ride. Go Broncos.
There goes Luke Patterson, the man, the myth, the legend. And now he has done his duty, and now he's going to go execute his other duty, which is to his family, to his missus. So we do appreciate him giving you guys some of his time on anniversary night. I don't know. I mean, my wife would totally be okay with it, but a lot of wives would be like, no. It's our anniversary. You're not going on the podcast tonight. You've been at the facility all day. No, we're going to go get a steak. We're going to get a medium rare steak. But anyway, Luke, he's a man.
Can we talk about Lloyd Cushenberry pancaking fools, though? That's pretty crazy.
Yes.
I mean, all the hate on Cushenberry, and Chad and I were, at least I was, a bigger supporter of Cushenberry than most. I'm happy he's putting on, it seems like, the muscle and the power, because the athleticism was never in question. And now he's in a scheme with Butch Barry that emphasizes running and that athleticism. I'm telling you, don't count out Cushenberry. They got that good Cush, the Broncos do.
That's right. And especially where all the knocks against Cush was the first 2 years. And I don't say this as if these were phantom criticisms. I mean, they were justified criticisms, was that he wasn't holding up against power. So it's good to hear that he's developing that component of his game. Real quick, you guys, here's how the month of July finished on Facebook. You guys know the contest we're running. We're going to take the top 3 finishers. So in this case, it was Phil McLaughlin, Gary Leach Palmer, and Mark Schrader on Facebook in terms of stars. Their names are going to go into a hat after the month. So it'll be very beginning of September. We're going to take June, July, August, and we're going to pull one name from Facebook, one name from YouTube from our Super Chat Superstar rankings, and then we're going to roll out the red carpet, MHH, at the meet and greet in Denver. Of course, at the stadium, Sunday Night Football, Broncos, Niners for the MHH meet and greet. If you win, all you got to do is get yourself there. Otherwise, we're going to put you up. We're going to hang out with you all day. We're going to feed you the 9. So here were the top 5 finishers in the month of July: Phil, Gary, Mark, followed by Travis, Weber, and the silent one, Jacob Foster. So much love and respect, you guys. And those 3 names are going into the hat. We'll announce, of course, and do the drawing, make a big to-do of it. I guess we probably need to figure, we got to make a specific date, because if people do have to travel, that just occurred to me, Zach, that if people do need to make travel arrangements, the sooner we reveal that, the better. But still, we said June, July, and August. So we're going to have to hold to that. But we'll get that information out ASAP. We'll do the drawing like as soon as it's midnight. Drawing, here it is. Winners. Do you live in Denver? Cool. Then we got you covered. You got to travel. Make those arrangements. You'll still have plenty of time to make it to the Mile High City if you do not live in Denver. But Zach Andrew says the AFC West is tough, but what team do we have to worry about in the whole AFC? Hashtag MHH for life. Zach, a couple of the bigger non-conference or non-divisional AFC foes. Let's see, you get the Indianapolis Colts this year, and I know a lot of people aren't too high on the Colts, but something about Frank Reich, old quarterbacks, and Matt Ryan, being about the age Peyton Manning was when he was suddenly transplanted in Denver. What say you?
This is one of the rare topics that we disagree on. I'm not too scared of the Colts and Matt Ryan. I'm kind of scared of that running game with Jonathan Taylor and now Phillip Lindsay, and maybe the defense with Darius Leonard, some other players they have. But quarterback doesn't scare me. The Broncos should have that advantage in the elements of the Mile High City. I don't know if this question pertains to who's on the Broncos schedule or of the AFC as a whole. The easy answer to me is the Bills. I think they're the ones that are going to emerge from the AFC and put that nightmarish playoff loss to bed last year against Kansas City, avenge that game, whatever, and get to the Super Bowl and hopefully not Norwood themselves out of a title. So I think the Bills in the AFC, of course, like Chad's highlighting, teams like the Titans are going to be a foe. Kansas City, obviously, but the Bills to me are king crap in a positive way in the AFC.
No doubt about it. They are the Leviathan on a level with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Broncos could end up being that same kind of a monster team if everything comes together in year 1 with Russell Wilson. Might take a year or two. We'll see for Russ to get the Broncos on that level, but we're fixing to see something heretofore unseen in the Russell Wilson canon in the NFL, and that is him quarterbacking a team and leading a team of which the whole enchilada is structured around him. And we don't know what the limits of that could be quite yet. And that's why it's so exciting just to kind of speculate, project what this team is going to look like. But the Bills, they're going to be tough. The Ravens, they're one of those teams that has proven for the most part since they transitioned to Lamar to be very tough in the regular season, Zach, and then they get to the playoffs and it's Quaytons. And then the Titans, 2 years ago, was it now off the top of my head, they were in the AFC title game. They're one win away from going to the Super Bowl. And as long as they get their running game in order, that's always going to be a team that's tough. So if they get Derrick Henry back to, whatever level, they're going to be tough. And so the Titans and the Colts, we'll see. But the thing, they're on the schedule this year was what I was about to say. But Zach, one of the things that you got to factor in with the Colts, all right, is that rushing champ is also on that team. So imagine, and I know there's a far cry between Peyton Manning and Matt Ryan at this juncture in their respective careers, okay? But imagine if you gave Peyton Manning circa 2012, the leading rusher in the league from the year prior, what kind of magic could happen offensively. And I get it. Matt Ryan hasn't quite reached those same Star Wars numbers of Peyton, but if you look at his numbers, it's like Star Battles, maybe. I don't know. Dang close to Star Wars. I mean, we're talking about also an MVP. This cat won the MVP in 2016. So I don't know. We'll see about the Colts, but they have some of the hallmarks of a contender if things come together.
I did concede that I'm scared of Jonathan Taylor in the running game. That's the only thing really that kind of terrifies me, because if you have the better quarterback, more than likely you have the advantage in the game. And if I'm stacking the run, I'm stopping Jonathan Taylor, I'm selling out, and I'm making Matt Ryan beat me. And if I have Russell Wilson versus Matt Ryan, I'm taking Russell Wilson any day. I'm not really too worried about that Colts game, but that's why they're played.
What about Pete wondering who is the surprise AFC team? I mean, the easy one here is the Broncos, because a lot of people are still sleeping on the Broncos. Power rankings, for the most part, you find them in the top 15, which qualifies them, right, in terms of like playoff contenders, etc. But do you have another surprise AFC team?
I do, and I don't necessarily believe it, but you're asking me to answer the question, so I will. The Dolphins. I really like the Mike McDaniel hire. They're going to have a great running game. That's what Mike McDaniel does. They added Tyreek Hill. They have Jalen Waddle. It's going to be Tua, what he can do. It comes down to that. If he takes that next step or two, they can be a dangerous team with a competent coach at the controls. But if he doesn't, then they're going to be a middling team like the Broncos have been. But that's my deep surprise team from the AFC.
Man, that guy, it's funny because he's someone whose career I followed closely. About the time the Broncos started being in the coaching doldrums, you start looking around the league at who some of the stars could be, some of the up-and-comers. Who's that next Sean McVay? So, circa Gary Kubiak stepping down on, Mike McDaniel's a guy that I kept an eye on and I liked a lot. But I never really saw, of course, you don't see press for guys that are assistants. You'll see offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators at the podium and whatnot, but you don't see run game coordinators. You don't see running back coaches. You don't see and that's what he was for the majority of his NFL coaching career. Then you put him in front of a microphone on camera at the podium. This man does not appear to be a football coaching. What's a good way to put it? He puts some of those stereotypes, Zach, flips it on its ear, because he's kind of a small dude. He's kind of soft-spoken. Some might say kind of like, I don't know, nerdy looking a little bit. But the football brain between those ears is formidable. So if they get the quarterback thing going, you could be right, the Dolphins.
Mike McDaniel it looks like the guy that's going to sell you a dime for a good price. That's the look that he gives off. But, he loves the game of football and he really pours himself into it. And if you watch him diagnose a play, it's a lot like Nathaniel Hackett, where the exuberance and the natural joy of football comes out. So I think he was a good hire by Miami. And if he gets Tua going, then they can really surprise some folks.
All right, we are at 42 minutes. I'm going to take a quick peep into the chat and see if there's anything that we might have missed. Benjamin's been effusive tonight. Let's grab one of his comments here. He says, honestly, the 49ers aren't all that scary now that I know they're rolling with Trey Lance, especially since we play him fairly early, week 3. Their defense is great and offensive scheme is solid, but the biggest challenges we'll face going against them, obviously, are in our own division. I believe Ravens are always tough as well, though, and they are on the schedule for what it's worth. Yeah, the Niners, they're departing, they're embarking into the great next unknown, right? Like they put in all their chips on Trey Lance, and at a certain point, you got to call. And that's what they're doing. They're going all in on him, and we'll see, how long, if he ends up being the quarterback they hope he is, that they drafted him to be. We'll see how long it takes for him to kind of percolate, marinate, and turn a corner to bring the Niners back to being a factor. I don't think they're going to be a factor this year, but they're still going to be a tough team. Like, it's not going to be a laydown, especially defensively, Zach, but I'm still not convinced I know what to expect from an offensive perspective. I mean, schematically, yes, but until you kind of get some kind of a quantity under center that you can project, it's really hard to stab at what you're going to face if you're the Broncos that particular week on Sunday Night Football.
Trey Lance was the quarterback I wanted a couple of years ago, and the Niners were smart to give him a year. But now it's Trey Lance's time, and I think if he reaches his ceiling, they're going to be better than they were with Garoppolo. We're talking about a Niners team that's been racked by injuries, especially in their backfield year after year, and yet they're still competitive because Kyle Shanahan and company are such great coaches. Fortunately for the Broncos, you kind of just talked about it. It might take Trey Lance half a season, a full season to really get going and start to realize that potential. The Broncos get him in week 3. He should be relatively still inexperienced and raw and going through those growing pains, and coming to Mile High Stadium on a primetime game against that ferocious defense with PS2 and Simmons and company. I'm taking Denver all day in that game.
By the way, Scott, reminding here, the Falcons 2016 offensive coaching staff. All right, get this. Kyle Shanahan, that was the OC, right? This is the team that went to the Super Bowl and should have won. I mean, by almost every right, they should have won that game if they didn't. I mean, the biggest blown lead of all time on the biggest stage. All right, so Kyle Shanahan, offensive coordinator for the Falcons, Matt LaFleur, Mike LaFleur, both on that staff, as well as Mike McDaniel. That talk, and then you think, okay, how'd the quarterback do? Oh, MVP year, shocker.
And, they're 60 years removed from that. So that's why I'm saying I'm not too scared of Matt Ryan, age 37, 36.
He's either 36
35?
or 37. He's 36 or 30. But you know what? Here's the thing, though, because when I did some research on this, I was actually quite surprised at the statistical level at which Ryan continued to produce post 2016 after those dudes left. And and they hired Sarkisian to replace Shanahan. That was Dan Quinn, of course, that half of Broncos country wanted to hire as head coach. But I digress. But his, Matt Ryan's production, this isn't a Matt Ryan podcast, but he's on the brain right now because we were talking about opponents this year and who do you worry about, who could be a factor and whatnot. But if you go look at his production, Zach, he averaged about 4,000 passing yards and 25 touchdowns per season post 2016. Broncos country, there are people within this fan base who, over the dark depredations of the past 6 years, would do naughty things if they could guarantee that production from a quarterback during that era. So I'm just saying, it's not, let's shake a stick at it. It's impressive to see what level he produced without that. Now you give him a real coach in Frank Reich, and I'm thinking he's a sleeper, dude. Don't sleep too much though on Matty Ice.
I won't sleep too much, but going from Kyle Shanahan to Sarkisian is like going from Wade Phillips to Vance Joseph, or going from Scangarello to Pat Shurmur. Imagine a team doing that, Chad. Can you fathom that?
Fathom a team hiring Shurmur twice as head coach.
That's true.
I'm not the same team, but you get my point, right? Like, this guy that was, just boring, vanilla, uninspiring, no production. I mean, said the right things-ish at the podium. The only thing I can fathom on how Pat Shurmur managed to sucker 2 different ownership groups into hiring him as head coach is he watched some Glenn Ross. He learned that coffees for closers, dude. He learned how to become a salesman. So good for you, Pat. And he made more money than he's probably ever going to need the rest of his life with those 2 gigs. So he doesn't have to coach, and he's not right now.
He didn't even say the right things, though. He got up there and said, we practice incompletions. Like, what are you doing? Why are you employed by an NFL team? Thank God we don't have to talk about him anymore. That's why it's nice reflecting and not, analyzing the current situation.
All right, guys, a few more minutes till we got to dip out of here. People that are filing in a little bit late wondering, who are some of the guys that struggled today? Garrett Bowles, unfortunately, had himself a bad day. Just mental lapses, false start that arrested a promising drive. The offense in general, for the majority of the day, struggled. And then at the end, when the chips were down, Russell gathered the dudes together, gave them a little Russ speech, and they overcame. They went out, and Cortland Sutton, beautiful ball to him, where he beat Pat Surtain, who's really been dominating at training camp. So the offense, generally speaking, not a great day, but the silver lining and what people should take away from today is the fact that when Russell rallied them when the chips were down, because that's the thing they responded, because that's the way you got to look at this is not every game is this going to be Broncos, 42, opponent 14 going into the fourth quarter. These are going to be 1-2 score games where things are right there. And there are going to be times where the chips are down and it's time for the Broncos offense to galvanize, rally around Russell Wilson and go overcome whatever the obstacle might be. So that was a nice facsimile today, Zach, to see that they could do it. Things weren't going their way. They're butting up against it. And then he brought them together. Hey, come on now, let's go. Boom. Production. That's what you want to see and what has been missing from this team. Leadership, production at the quarterback position for too long.
People love throwing around the L word leadership. I'm not going to say that anymore. They threw around leadership when discussing Teddy Bridgewater, but it was all hypothetical. I didn't see it come out that often because he was a low-key guy who everyone loved playing with. Russell Wilson embodies what leadership actually is. It's stopping at practice, mid-practice, because you're going through those struggles and you're rallying your guys around you, and you're not going to curse them out like Luke said. You're not going to go rah-rah, but you're going to demand respect. You're going to look them in the eye and say, men, we have to be better than we are right now. And they were better because of that.
Guys, here is how the Super Chat Superstars finished in the month of July. All right, these top 3 names going into a hat for the MHH meet and greet rollout, the red carpet event, week 3 at the stadium. Number 1, Ethan, a.k.a. the DWI guys. Gregory Vendeland, number 2. Gregory, that month, July in particular, man, came on like a whirling dervish, like a hurricane, for those of you who watched The Hobbit. And then, of course, the Duchess, Michaela Parker at number 3. Just outside, D-Dub, Sam Bam, Zeus McPeak, a few other names. We'll do the scroll. Broncos Sunrise, Tanner, Anthony Edwards, Jason Bolin. So the top 3, though, that are going in the hat for the drawing at first day of September is DWI, Gregory, and the Duchess. Much love and respect. Appreciate each and every one of you who continue, whether it's a 99-cent super chat or like you've seen from Michaela tonight. It all adds up and it all helps us out tremendously to keep the lights on here at MHH. So we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you to each and every one of you.
Absolutely. And Chad, real quick, we have a few seconds. Peter brought up a point that you made. Patrick Surtain II is just too good. If teams don't throw his way, then he gives more opportunities for other DBs to put up some great stats. He has been the star of training camp. A star that's burning brighter than even Russell Wilson. He is truly, as Chad said, dominant, lockdown, whatever word you want to use. Patrick Surtain is meeting that call, but it's making those around him better too. Ronald Darby's been better. You have Jaquan McMillian, the UDFA corner, playing pretty well. Caden Stearns, who was singled out by Jiro Evero, PJ Locke, who was singled out by Evero. Evero, being a former secondary coach, coming in and having that immediate impact in the back end has been wondrous for the Broncos so far.
It's one of those careful what you wish for things, because I am cautiously optimistic that Darby's going to stay on the field, K1's going to stay on the field, and you're going to have a really solid trio of corners so that when quarterbacks do become afraid and they fear PS2 and they go elsewhere, that they're going to be equal to their opportunity. But we got to see how that shakes out. I'm high on them. I'm high on the guys so far behind them. I think the Broncos in this defense, you've talked about this a lot, Zach. I think the Broncos ultimately keep 6 corners. The question is, who's that 6th guy? Because I think you've got, barring some kind of miraculous leapfrogging, PS2, Ronald Darby, K'Wan Williams, Michael Ojemudia. I'm missing one.
Mathis.
Damari Mathis. All right, there's your 5. That last one, it's hard to say. Is it going to be Fayon Hicks, 7th-round pick? Is it going to be McMillian? We've talked about on the show quite a bit over the months. Is it going to be Asang Bassi? There are some other guys. I'm seeing bots. Good job. Got them quick, man. They were in there for like 10 seconds and zapped. But yes, it's going to be interesting to see how that last position that is up for grabs in the corner room ultimately resolves.
A super sleeper in that room, though, is Bless Austin, who the Broncos signed earlier this offseason. He's had a pretty good offseason so far for them. Some starting experience with the Jets last year or a year before that. So he's a guy to keep in mind as well. It's going to be a battle for that last spot, and it's going to make the entire room better as a result.
Guys, we love you. We appreciate you. We're going to dip on out of here, though, but we got a few matters of business, so don't leave quite yet, okay? Hang tight. We got some shout-outs and a few other matters of business.
That was the Mile High Huddle podcast for this evening, Monday, August 1st. We're back on Thursday evening, same time, same place, 6 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Eastern. Until that time, though, Follow us on Twitter at HuddleUpPod, the main account on Twitter at Mile High Huddle, Chad on Twitter at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want a hat like Chad and I are wearing or any of our merch, it's at HuddleUpPod.com. All new inventory, all new website. Check it out. And Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Be sure to like that page and follow that page. And if you haven't, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every month. But if you can't do those things, please, as you see ticking below you, subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
Sorry, my mouse was frozen. Apologize. I had muted myself. Before we go, I want to show you something, how easy this is. You want to get in on the action for the Pristine Auctions giveaway. You want to win that Javonte Williams signed helmet. I just want to show you how easy it is. The link is in the description, all right? You click that, and it takes you here. You fill out your information, all right? Email, first name. Have a registration code. Just use Huddle, right? That's the easiest way to ensure that they know we sent you. Huddle, all right? Easy. And then your email, first name, password, all that stuff. And then it wants to know, how'd you hear about us? Well, scroll down, and you'll find alphabetical, geez, quit jumping, is the Mile High Huddle podcast. Boom, click, done. And then you create your Pristine Auction account. That's it. You're now in the running for the Javonte Williams signed helmet giveaway. So link is in the description. We've put it in the chat a couple times tonight as well. So check that out. And then shout out to these great supporters on Facebook tonight. Gary Leeds Palmer, Phil McLaughlin, Andrew Lampy, Mark Schrader, Lawrence Rivera, Andrew Baker, and Charlie Dominguez. And then also our great Super Chat superstars this evening on YouTube, the Duchess, Michaela Parker, Tyler Randall, good to see you, bro. Jason Bolin, Zachary Smouse, Z-Dub Designs, Riley Malloy, much love and respect to each and every one of you. We'll see you tomorrow for those of you who are listening religiously to the Mile High Huddle show on Mile High Sports Radio in Denver, 98.1 FM. You're out of market, you want to listen, it's easy. Just make sure you check mine or Zach's Twitters. You're going to see the listen live link. It's easy. You can listen online as easy as you're watching this right now. You just got to know what the link is. It's on our Twitter pages. So go check that out, and we'll see you tomorrow at between 2 and 3. And then we'll be back for the podcast, of course, Thursday night.
Let me try to remember everything. Tomorrow night, guys, or tomorrow morning, check out Broncos for Breakfast. Tomorrow night's Building the Broncos. Wednesday morning is Beckoning the Broncos. Wednesday night is Mile High Insiders. Thursday morning is Broncos for Breakfast. And then Thursday night, we're back on with the Mile High Huddle podcast. See you guys then. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.
Aced that test, bro.